I'm always waiting for that strange paranormal thing to happen to me because I just didn't believe in that kind of stuff. It sounded so far fetched, but I wanted to believe. My friends and I are horror fanatics, even after the things that happened to us 8 years ago. We were 14, loved watching scary movies and playing scary video games. One of my friends, Angela, had a favorite game called Fatal Frame. She had played it some time ago, but it was a rented copy, so she couldn't show it to us. However, we went over to Blockbuster Video, remember those? And tried to find the game. They didn't have it, but they did have Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly. Angela and I were immediately attracted to its beautiful cover. Creepy and dark, two identical girls with long black hair and a red rope tied to their kimonos, linking them together. There were candles and red butterflies in the background, and the image was bordered with what looked like red paint strokes. We rented it, very excited to play. I was staying at Angela's because my parents went on vacation to France for 4 weeks. We invited our friend Sarah over to spend the night. Sarah was also excited to see the game, even though she was not as brave as us, for lack of a better word. It was pretty late at night, for it was summer, and we didn't care about sleeping late in the mornings. As I popped the disc into her PS2, Angela read the back of the case and laughed. "What?" I asked, and she showed me the back of the case. It said, "Warning, do not play this game alone," she replied. Sarah and I laughed. "I'm gonna enjoy this," I said excitedly. Sarah and I were Angela's audience, for she was the best in horror games. I thoroughly enjoy watching people play video games, even as much as I enjoy playing them myself. Sarah was sitting on Angela's bed, and Angela and I were sitting on the floor in front of the TV. I know, bad for the eyes, yada yada. We played through the night. At some point we got lost. We had to look at the walkthrough. We didn't like doing that, but sometimes you gotta. We reached the ghost called Kusabi, who seemed to be summoned by Sai, one of the ghost twins who looks like Miyu and Mayu. We learned the hard way that we couldn't defeat the Kusabi at all. He wouldn't take any damage, and guess what? He could kill us in one hit. So we had to start again from the last save point, which was found in front of the door that led to the Kusabi room. Now, I'll need to tell you that Angela's PS2 has seen a lot of action, meaning it was getting old and frequently caused disk to either freeze or load very slowly. So upon entering the Kusabi room, the game froze on the completely black loading screen. We waited for a few minutes and finally realized we were going to be waiting for a long time. So for at least half an hour, Angela, Sarah, and I were talking about some stupid crap like all teenagers do. When Angela wanted to get up to get a snack, I love her to death, but truth was, she wasn't exactly skinny. She was actually quite heavy. So what she did to stand up was put both hands behind her, resting on the edge of the bed, and push herself up. She ended up doing this odd twisting thing that amused Sarah and I. So we asked her to do it again. She sat back down on the floor and was about to repeat the same action when she stared at the TV, horrified. "What's wrong?" I asked her. "I just saw a face on the TV," she said quietly. When Angela is scared, she rarely actually screams. I do, however, and so does Sarah. Anyway, we looked at the TV and saw nothing but black. "You must be smoking something," I joked. None of us did drugs, of course, but we would say some things like that just for a cheap laugh. "Just watch, maybe it will happen again," said Angela. Sarah moved to the end of the bed to where we're sitting and held on to us. Then, as we stared, a frighteningly white ghost face faded into view. It was a woman with a sunken-in face and eyes dark and lifeless. Her hair was black, stringy, and sticking out in all directions. There was no blood on her, but her face alone was disturbing enough without it. The three of us screamed, including Angela, and we flashed out of the room, shutting the bedroom door behind us. Sitting on the living room couch, we were completely silent, petrified. None of us had actually seen a real ghost. But was that an actual ghost, or was it part of the game? I ran this by the girls. "It's a ghost game," I whispered. Maybe the game unfroze, but it was left alone long enough for some sort of screensaver to show. "Video games don't usually have screensavers," said Sarah, trembling. "That was something. Oh God, that was something." "Calm down. Maybe Sam is right," said Angela. Let's go check the game." "I'm not going back in there," Sarah exclaimed. "Fine," said Angela, sounding annoyed. "I'll go." She went back down the short hall and into her room. After a few seconds, she called out, "It's okay! The game unfroze!" Sarah and I walked slowly into the room, looking at the screen. Mio and Mayu were standing next to the red lantern, which was the save point. I exhaled slowly. "Let's play something else," I suggested, and the others agreed. Angela took the Fatal Frame 2 disc and replaced it with Sims 2. We played it for quite some time, trying to see whose character would last the longest without a shower. While Sarah watched from the bed again, then one of my goals was to change clothes. So I went to the dresser. It loaded slowly, but eventually got there. I put my alien girl into something sexy, and then exited. We waited, watching the familiar screen saying, "Saving game, please do not turn off the console or disconnect the controller." This honestly took forever. Angela started complaining about her piece of shit PlayStation when the screen suddenly started to flicker. "Ah, don't tell me. My TV's going out too?" she exclaimed. The screen turned completely black and the Sims 2 background music began skipping like an extremely scratched CD. Then, to our horror, that same ghostly face appeared right before our eyes. I couldn't breathe. "No," said Sarah, weakly. No. She was letting out some terrified squeaks as we stared, unable to take our eyes off the face. The ghost's eyes slowly looked at us and then began to move her lips as if speaking, though no sound came out. Angela jabbed the power button, turning off the TV, and all of us ran into the living room. All of us agreed to sleep out there instead of the room. We just couldn't handle being in there. It was so unbelievable. We had trouble sleeping. Finally, somehow, we managed it. We slept in until 1 o'clock in the morning. Angela's mother complained about the noise last night and wondered why the hell we were sleeping at the living room. Angela was about to tell her what happened when suddenly we noticed that Sarah was gone. Maybe she went home in the middle of the night, I suggested. Let's go check, said Angela. We got dressed, left the house, and made our way down the road. Sarah didn't live too far away. We knocked on the door and her mom answered. Is Sarah here? I asked her. No, I thought she was spending the night at your house, said her mother. Angela and I exchanged worried looks and hurried back to her house. We searched every room, including Angela's, but Sarah was nowhere to be found. The police were called and conducted a search. Angela and I spent a few days trying to get a hold of our other friends to check if they had seen her, but no one had. Her mother was a wreck, but the police assured her that they'll find Sarah. Should we tell them what happened? I asked. Sam, do you really think they'll believe that we saw a ghost? She said angrily. I don't know what we should do, okay? What the hell happened? Why did that ghost show up? Maybe it was the game, I said softly. A haunted horror game? How often do you hear about those? Usually, it's completely innocent games like Majora's Mask or Sonic the Hedgehog. I can't think of anything else it could be. Let's go see if the other copies in Blockbuster have the same warning on the back cover, said Angela. We took the game with us so that we would return it. After dropping it off the return slot, we went over to check the other copies, and each one said, "Warning, do not play this game alone." Well, that's not it, I said. Did we just get a haunted game or something? I don't know, said Angela, but it appeared when we were playing Sims, so it must have transferred onto my PS2. That bitch! What do we do? I asked timidly. We could go around the internet and see if anyone has seen her too, Angela replied. Returning to her house, we immediately hopped onto the computer and feverishly searched for Fatal Frame forums for any hint of a haunted copy. We found absolutely nothing. We decided to create an account on one of those forums and post a new thread. My friends and I recently rented Fatal Frame 2 for the PS2, and something really strange happened. My crappy PS2 froze, and after a while we saw a ghost woman on the screen. We thought it was part of the game, but then we were playing The Sims 2, and she showed up. Now our other friend is missing, and we don't know what to do. Has anyone else experienced this? How is that? Said Angela after she finished writing the post. Sounds good, but I fixed all the spelling and punctuation errors in the post and submitted it. We actually sat there and refreshed it every 10 minutes, but we only got replies saying you're BSing or it's a fucking ghost game. It wasn't until a week later we finally got a response. Sarah was still missing and she was put on Amber Alert. We checked the forum again and saw the response from someone called Anonymous, and they had no icon. Hello. I saw your post and was shocked. This happened to me a long time ago, but I rented the copy from GameStop. After seeing the ghost woman on screen, I tried playing my other games, but no matter which game I put in, she always appears. I took the game back thinking that would help, but it didn't. Then I looked at the memory card again and saw that every single saved icon for every single game was just a black box. And then she appeared again without even being in the game. I deleted the Fatal Frame 2 data, but that didn't keep her away. I got a new memory card, transferred all my data onto it, but again, it didn't help. It seemed like the ghost was actually infecting the game's data completely. So then I tried erasing all the game data on both cards, which was really sad. I had a lot of Final Fantasy saves in there, and those games were long. I tried playing another game, but she still appeared. I was so scared and so frustrated, I took both my memory cards and smashed it with a hammer. They screamed at me. I was so shocked, but then tried my game once again. I played for a few hours without any appearance of the ghost. I know it's hard for any gamer to lose their save data, but there's no other way. You have to destroy the memory card. The ghost is like a virus spreading itself through the disk. God knows how many people gotten it. I don't know why she's in that disk, and I just don't care. Just as long as I never see her again. I'm never renting another copy. I'll just buy it. I want to play it so bad. Sincerely, a friend. Angela and I stared at the response, which had also received many rude comments. Then we went into her room, turned on the PlayStation 2, and checked her memory card. Just as Anonymous said, every icon of the save data was a jet black box, jet black three-dimensional cube, spinning slowly in their places. Just then, the ghost woman faded onto the screen, causing it to flicker with static. "What do you want?" I asked the face. Scared to that point, I started crying. The ghost moved her lips again, but we heard nothing. We even tried turning up the volume, but it didn't make any difference. "Why are you here?" asked Sarah, much more braver than I was. The woman continued to mouth, but nothing. "Let's just forget it," I said, starting to feel a little hysterical. "Let's just destroy the damn card." Angela turned off the console and ripped the memory card out. Then we went to the tool shed in the backyard and found a hammer. Angela set it on the concrete of a back porch, raised the hammer, and hit the card viciously. Once, twice, 3 times. A piercing scream emanated through the cartridge as it was broken. "I think," said Angela, shaking and taking shudder breaths, "I think that'll do it." "What's that?" I gasped, seeing a piece of memory card that appeared to have scratches on it. It was the circuit that allowed the cards to hold data. We found it in pieces and fit them together like a puzzle and was astounded on what we found. Anonymous was the word scratched onto the surface of the circuit. Was the ghost the one who replied to the thread we made? Why would she tell us to destroy her? "Sam, look!" said Angela suddenly. She was pointing at the S written on it, and in very tiny letters was the name Sarah scratched onto it. "She took Sarah!" I whispered. "Why?" asked Angela. "And was it the ghost who responded to us, or was it Sarah?" We went back inside, got back into the computer. Viewing the post, anonymous reply was no longer there, and the entire thread had been locked. We searched Google for the mysterious username, but got absolutely nothing. I'm sorry to say that we never found who the ghost was, who Anonymous was, or where Sarah went. Like I said before, this really happened to us, and we never touched any rental game ever again. Even to this day, we try searching for the username, but we can never find it. Maybe you guys have seen it before. And every day I wondered, who's rented the disc? I wondered if they figure out how to destroy it, and what would happen if they didn't. What was the ghost woman trying to tell us? We never found that out either. We never found a name or anything. Why was she on the Fatal Frame game and not something else? How did she die? What was her connection to the game? Angela ran the idea by me. She said that the first Fatal Frame was based off a true story. She said, what if the second one had some truth to it too? What if the ghost was really in that village long ago? But why would she haunt a specific copy, I asked. Maybe she can only be in one disc, so she gets into the memory card, she suggested. I don't know. What goes in the ghost's head? With that, we stopped discussing the matter. I wanted to forget about it, but I couldn't. About a year and a half ago, Angela started doing drugs and became a whole different person, lying and using me and her other friends. So I ditched her. I hate druggies with a passion. I had no idea what happened to her, but every now and then I see her mom come to work. I never asked about her. Without her around, my mind involuntarily started remembering the events that had taken place 8 years ago. And that's why I'm writing this. You may not believe me. You may refuse to believe me. But I warn you to be careful when renting a game, especially Fatal Frame 2. I know it's kind of hard to find a PS2 games nowadays, especially now that they announced PS4. But some places have old and used copies, so just be careful. Since we never figured out what the ghost wanted, I just warn you the specific dangers, but it's best to avoid it anyway. You can never be too careful. And now, even though I never seen the ghost, I can still say I don't believe in them. I'm still a horror fanatic, but I can't help looking over my shoulder periodically. I know I'm being repetitive, but I'm serious. Please be careful. Sam.